This is the Pirates Pub, containing 2,858 pieces. Thank you to Pantasy for sending this set for my review. But wait, there's more to see than what you're seeing right now. Look at how tall this thing is, as compared to the image on the box. Even on the box art, which is really cool by the way, with this ominous scene in the ocean, the mast and the pirate flag extend to the top of the box. According to the schematic on the box, the height is 22.8 inches or 58 centimeters. There's 4 figures included. I'm going to put them throughout the build when taking a look at all the details. And the footprint of this set is 32 by 32 studs. It's all sitting on these earth blue plates. There's 4 of them. But actually, it extends way past those plates. The build, for the most part, was enjoyable. There's 2 instruction manuals, numbered bags throughout. But there were times that I got tripped up because there's so many colors that look alike. You've got your reddish browns, dark tans, dark oranges, light grays, dark grays, etc. But the end result is a bit of a masterpiece. I'm going to walk you through each of these floors of this 4-story and then some Pirates bar. I like how these pirates turned the shipwreck into a bar. And it probably happened something like this. The sea was stormy and a giant wave, much like this one, lifted the whole ship up onto a seaside cliff. The wreckage was too catastrophic for the ship, so it remained stuck there for years, and they decided to make the most of it, turn it into a pirate bar. Now, they probably don't get a lot of business where they're at, so they make do with what the island and sea around them have to offer. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Before I start narrowing in on small details, let me just give you a full shot on this thing, and I have to back up really far for this. And there's absolutely no camera unfriendly angle. This is what the backside looks like. Now I'm going to start focusing in on some exterior details, starting with my favorite one of all, the bottle of rum. It's situated right above the outdoor bar, and this is done exceptionally well. Okay, there is one sticker in the set, and it's this one. Everything else is pad printed wherever you see decorations, but this sticker is awesome. Love the iridescent effect around the border. Look at that shine to it. It's a really high quality sticker. I really love the spilling effect going on here and how this bottle's built at an angle. There's absolutely nothing that could have made this build better, except for adding hundreds of trans yellow studs on the interior to make the bottle look full. Well, hey, look at that. I've got hundreds of trans yellow studs. Okay, it wasn't enough to fill up the bottle, and I'm not really sure it makes the build look any better. Definitely not practical, adding hundreds of pieces to the piece count. That bottle is such an awesome design. I can't get over it. All right, I'm gonna start looking at the exterior details down here at water level. So the idea here is you pull up your little rowboat, hop up onto this dock, and that's the entrance to the bar right there. Above the entrance is this nicely decorated sign that's printed across 4 different pieces. Up here is a sculpture of a skull. It doesn't look the best to me. My favorite sculpture of a skull is over here. Now this is supposed to represent like a cave. Now there's no entrance, but rather some bars back there. Kind of like a window to the restaurant bar. Over here, we've got another little dock or pier with this rig. Now this pier is a bit broken down as there's pieces of wood scattered about the water. Also, some of the legs of the pier are collapsing. Now here's the rig. This chain's holding it in an upright position, but if you detach that, then it has function where you can lift it up and down and rotate it from side to side. So this is like you're offloading some small cargo off of a ship. Once again, I really love this skull build and the rock work that is transitioned into more of a building structure over here. There's a nice mixture of masonry bricks and woodwork and vegetation. All comes together really well. Now there are some walls that open up for interior viewing. I'll show you that when we're viewing the interior. Over here, there's barred windows, more woodwork with the printed tiles. Now there's no imagination on how figures access each level, as there's ladders throughout. I don't know how to get food up and down those ladders, but I guess they manage. And then coming back around the front, kind of around the corner, underneath the bow of the ship is a palm tree, some large barrels of rum. There's a total of 3 of these barrels, I believe, in this set. A whole stack of bottles up above those barrels, and just some nice rock work, and really like how this front entrance is built at this angle. There are a couple of torches flanking the front entrance. And now take a look at this roof detail. There's a lot of greebling going on. Absolutely love it. Over here, we've got the outdoor bar on the bow of the ship. Love the part usage of this figurehead with the octopus. Now, the figure, he can just kind of stand up back here, and you put his hands on the table and looks perfectly fine. But in order for him to attach to some studs, kind of need like some jumper plates back there, because the first row of studs is too close to the bar. The second row is too close to the shelves. So his head interferes back there. His toes interfere with the first row of studs, so really needed some jumper plates to attach properly to those studs. I like how there's this support below the bow. Provides a nice look, but also some structural integrity. Up above this bar is the steering wheel. That was perhaps the captain's steering wheel of this wrecked ship. Here's a little ladder that goes up to that. All of the access points for figures to move about different levels are over here, with the exception of one ladder on the interior down here from the first floor to the second floor. If you were to traverse all the way up these ladders to the very top, that's an outdoor dining area. Now there's no seats, but plenty of food up here, and another barrel of rum. This was the back of the ship and is now 3 stories up. Love all of the detail on it, the color choices, the arched windows, how this whole back wall is built at an angle. Yeah, like the shaping of it. A lot of gold pieces used up here at the top. Got some lanterns. Now, there probably should have been a higher railing or banister right here. I don't know why it's so low. The banister work down here looks just fine. But up here, I'm not sure why it's so low. And there's a couple more torches. Looking at the other side of what used to be the back of the boat, we've got an entryway right here to the living quarters. Really like this window that used to be an access point for a cannon. And then moving on up here, we've got the sail that's tethered. This is like a paper-like material, like thick though. And the mast goes up to the crow's nest, and then the pirate flag. Now let's go ahead and start looking at some interior details. I'm going to start with this top floor and then move my way down. This is my favorite floor of all, my favorite room. And perhaps it's because of all this viewing access. It's amazing. Hand access to place figures. It's because this whole wall is on a hinge. And opening that whole wall, well, we've got good access. There's a nicely built bed over here in the corner with this printed book. Well, the front cover is printed. Nothing written on the pages. Got gold scattered throughout. This is probably the captain's quarters, even a gold ring. There's a treasure chest with more gold and some gems. Over here on this table is a map, a compass, telescope, and candle. There's a sword hanging on the wall and a seat, but the figure can't attach, can't sit down. Oh, and also the chandelier. It's pretty cool, huh? All 4 figures have alternate legs for sitting. So you remove these straight legs, put on this one with the sitting pose. Now there's no studded connection on the feet because you don't need them, and it looks better smoothed out like that. But there's the connection. There's no connection on this chair, so what you have to do is kind of balance him, and he's leaning over, maybe looking at his map, or writing in his book if you bring his book over there. There's one design flaw I wanted to point out when placing figures on the studs. You can put them immediately next to an object like a bed when he's this way, but if you turn him 90 degrees, well, his heels are in the way. Or if he's facing the bed, his toes are in the way, so I can't secure him to studs right next to an object. So you need a row of studs on either side of his toes and his heels to be able to place him on studs. So that's why I couldn't get the bartender to secured to any studs. There's no removable or hinged wall here on the second floor where the kitchen is, but on the first floor there is, though it's smaller and a bit harder to access. We've got a couple of wanted posters of maybe the Kragan on the wall. There's a look in the seating area. Now these seats do have attachment points for figures. There's also the ladder that leads you up to the second floor. The upper floors are removable as they're sitting on some jumper plates, and that's how we'll get better access to the first floor and of the second. With those upper floors removed, we have a lot more light coming in so we can see better through this open wall. Back in this corner, we've got a couple swords hanging, as well as maybe a crest, some beer on tap, lots of bottles spread throughout, even some scattered on the floor. A fireplace over in this corner, and this is the entrance into the pub, and it's lined with candlesticks. Now, up here on the second floor, there's not a lot going on, just a plant, and even up above there. A rat in the attic space up here. You can access that attic space by lifting this up, so maybe you could hide your own stuff up there, maybe some treasure, do some storytelling. Anyway, there's seating for 4, so figures can attach to these seats, and there's how that looks with some figures placed. And to finish off the interior details, this is the kitchen on level 2. Got a barrel of weapons over here with an axe and a sword, table with some cheese and drinks, pumpkin, some vegetables and meats scattered throughout. My favorite, though, is this build of raw meat that's hanging from these racks in the corner. Something I didn't point out earlier, the rudder is still attached to the pirate ship wreckage. Here's an up-close look at all 4 figs together. Pretty darn adorable. Love the molds. And here are their alternate legs for sitting down. There's attention to detail with printing throughout. By the way, here's a size comparison of the Pirates Pub next to the Opera. It's an exciting time, really, for Pantasy and their fans, as we've got new minifigure designs. They're really cute with their big heads. A new theme. Hello Pirates, welcome to Pantasy's collection. Their first pirate set is a knock out of the park. Home run. Way to go, Pantasy. New figs, new themes, superb sets. I'm going to wrap up this review with some pros and cons. I'm going to start with the cons. Down here in the water, the level of detail is not up to par with the level of detail of everything else up above it. Like, for example, these 2x2 trans blue plates holding these 16x16 plates together just doesn't really cut it. I think there maybe should have been some waves built in. It would have looked better. Also, figure access to this dock right here is absent. Maybe there could have been some stepping stones or rocks or some woodwork to cross over there. And also the same thing over here to cross over to get some bottles of beer or some more rum. There's some limitation on figure placement and not too many places to sit, to be honest. There probably should have been some studded connections on these seats in the rowboat. So many colors that are only slightly different will make it difficult for some during the building process. Now, as for the pros, design, detail, and if I had to choose a third word that started with a D, I would choose durability, because this set is built really well. Now, I could go on and on about design and detail. This bottle of rum is a pro in itself. All decorations are printed, except for that exceptionally well done sticker. Overall, this is an exceptional display piece that's also built for play and storytelling. Now, there's one more pro to cover, the cost. I believe this set will retail for $140 US, which is an absolute steal with over 2,800 pieces. Well, that wraps up this review video. Thanks for watching. 5 stars out of 5.